we were just talking about a creepy tree. You want to just talk about a creepy movie? I talk about Vampyr.
Sure.
This is Carl Theodor Dreyer, whose last film was Joan of Arc. His previous movie was a silent Jesus-y movie, and this is a sound devil movie. A little oversimplified. This is
I mean, not wrong though.
This is a sound movie, but really only barely. Maybe in the vein of Land of Gold, the Buñuel movie. It just uses very sparing dialogue, and mostly it's just vibes. Yeah. And in fact, like I think that this movie, it feels like it owes a lot to Buñuel, Un Chien Andalou, and that kind of thing. It is a horror movie, but it's a horror vampire movie, but a lot of it feels kind of surreal and avant-garde.
Yeah. It feels very kind of a piece with the other like European avant-garde stuff that we've been watching. Yeah, it's wild like how this is also a vampire movie, but it's like so wildly different from 1931 Dracula. It's like,
and Nosferatu for that matter.
Yeah. And yeah, I think all the sound was done after, it was recorded after. It wasn't, none of it was like recorded sync.
Yeah, it was produced simultaneously in a number of different languages, and I think it was like a kind of ADR, like English, German, French, whatever on top of it.
It feels, I think, stylistically kind of more similar to silent movies than a lot of the talkies we've seen. For that reason, like it has intertitles and it has like exposition through just intertitles for one thing.
Well, I guess it's like they're not like intertitles with dialogue though. They are they're intertitles that are just kind of setting scenes or talking about stuff, which actually it almost feels more like some of those really extreme silent films like The Last Laugh, where it's like, we're not going to use any intertitles, right? Because this movie is told very, very visually for a silent film, even compared to silent films. And maybe having just a little bit of sound it helps it get away with that. Make it easier to handle.
Right, but it plays around with sound design a little bit. There were a few moments where there's like off-screen sound or things like that. Nothing quite as like wild as like L'Age d'Or was doing, I think. But there's some use of sound in this movie in cool ways. I think the most striking thing about it is the camera stuff,
right? Like as opposed to the sound, right?
Yeah, there's like lots of moving camera. There's like a lot of kind of like in Joan of Arc. There's a lot of like really inventive usage of camera in this movie. Probably my favorite thing, and like one of the more notable scenes from this movie is the guy getting loaded into the coffin, and the camera is like looking out of the coffin in like POV as the coffin's getting taken away. Rules. It was great.
So like they put like a top on top of the coffin that has a little window right above his face, and so you're seeing like a point of view shot looking up at the sky of him being like wheeled around, lying down on the coffin. And I can't say I've ever seen a shot like that in any movies before.
Right? Yeah.
Like just looking straight up and then like moving around, watching kind of buildings go by, looking up into the sky.
And
it's eerie.
Yeah. I think it's eerie because it's simultaneously not something you see in movies very often, but something that I think like people experience sometime, like of like being on like a table or like any kind of moving thing and like, looking straight up as you're like moved around, even if you're just like on a sled or something, it's like that's an experience I've definitely had many times,
right?
But it's like it puts you into the POV of the movie in a really effective way that just doesn't happen often.
Yeah. And I mean, like, speaking of the kind of like weird stuff going on in this movie, this character is not actually really getting loaded into a coffin, because like sort of what's happening is there's some vampire stuff or whatever, and like he ends up chasing after a bad guy, the main character, and then he just kind of gets tired, sits down on a bench, and then just randomly astral projects into a potential future.
Yeah, that's the kind of movie this is.
So yeah, he's like sitting on the bench, and then he just splits into two people, and one of them's kind of sneaking around a castle and looking through stuff. It's a double exposure, which, you know, we the age of double exposure, I feel like, is over a little bit, which is sad.
It might be winding down, but they still got some life left in it. I think we still got some cool multiple exposure things.
Yeah,
to look forward to.
I don't know if Invisible Man uses that, but that's next episode.
Yeah, true.
But yeah, it's like the classic Phantom Carriage style double exposure, where it's just he's ghostly and looking at stuff.
Yeah.
This movie has a lot of really interesting like shadow imagery in it.
Yeah.
Like a lot of stuff that must have been like kind of interesting 3-dimensional objects that were like behind the camera and had a light splashing onto them so that you could see like a really, really deliberately crafted shadow in front of the camera. Stuff with like, you know, a guy with a peg leg climbing up a ladder, and like you can't tell exactly like what's going on until like he moves through the scene in a full way, and just kind of like interesting 3-dimensional objects like hanging and spinning around and creating interesting shadows.
Yeah. I think like Joan of Arc, this movie has a very kind of like minimalist set design. Which I think helps the kind of the shadow play stuff, where it's like there's a lot of big blank walls to kind of like throw shadows onto.
Throwing shade.
There you go. And I think I was watching and reading some of the Criterion bonus features for this movie, and one of the things with like how kind of mobile the camera is, I guess that came partially from, because it was filmed in real locations, a lot of the rooms were too small to get like a single wide shot of. So it ended up being like, oh, I guess we have to like move the camera over here to this thing, move the camera over here to this thing to get everything in one take. But that leads to this like really cool kind of like roving kind of POV camera thing that's like revealing different things.
Yeah. It's definitely like something we've talked about is our excitement at like where silent film could have gone if it continued on a little longer, because it had been in this period of, you know, blossoming ingenuity, and then sound came along and kind of stopped all of that. And I feel like this is sort of picking up along the same lines of a lot of the late silent film.
Yeah.
Where it's doing really interesting stuff with the camera that I think a lot of the sound films are not.
Another thing that kind of struck me about this movie is because it's a vampire movie, but it's not a Dracula movie.
Yes.
So I think it uses kind of like different vampire lore than I'm kind of used to seeing. Like, I feel like so much of what at least like Americans associate with vampires is just Dracula stuff. Whereas this feels like it's kind of going back to the source of like original, like pre-Dracula vampire mythology, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, it like you're saying, it predates Dracula, and it's specifically based on an Irish writer called J. Sheridan Le Fanu.
I wonder if there's any relation. I have some Sheridan family history, so Sheridan in Ireland is like the most common last name. So that's.
Is it really?
It's up there. It's there's when I was in Ireland, I talked to someone and they said, "Yep, they're not rare."
Are you also related to the hotels?
That's Sheraton with a T, so I don't think so.
But yeah, it was there was a collection of stories that J. Sheridan Le Fanu wrote called "In a Glass Darkly," which I enjoyed the Scanner Darkly structure of things.
Anything that ends with darkly is fun.
Yeah, just It's like I feel like a scanner darkly, a glass darkly. It's the same kind of good joke structure of I blank at like I have no mouth and I must scream, you know?
Oh yeah.
Like I riff on I have no mouth and I must scream endlessly to the annoyance of everyone around me.
Yeah. No, it's a good structure to build off of, I think.
Anyway,
two things about like the vampire lore in this movie is like in this vampires are like explicitly demonic, which feels different from like Dracula lore.
Yeah.
And you have to use an iron stake to kill a vampire, and that is to nail their soul to the ground, which I think is I guess that's where vampire staking came from. It's like you're nailing the body down so that their soul can't escape.
And it talks about how you have to like they are these kind of evil murderers in the afterlife, and you need to murder their body to as like a sort of karmic justice or whatever.
Yeah. The vampire in this is almost more like a ghost that then they have to like murder the body from the ghost in order to kind of kill.
Yeah. It's an interesting take on it for sure. This movie is primarily composed of the main character wandering around and looking at weird stuff.
Mm-hmm.
One of the first things that happens is that he kind of checks into a hotel room, and then just a weird guy walks into his room, and then he says, "Hi, I have a book, and I have a little package here that says open this when I die, and you can have this." and soon enough, he dies. They open it, and it's like a vampire lore book.
Yeah,
it's like here's everything you need to know about vampires.
But we're too afraid to ask.
In case I'm killed by a vampire, which he kind of was not. He was shot. I think the vampire kind of caused him to be shot, but
right, he was shot by like one of the vampire's henchmen.
But yeah, we get a lot of like interesting kind of proto-Draculian vampire lore from these little bits of the book that we get to see, including the details about the communion with the devil and all that kind of thing. Also,
just vampire spelled with a Y is fun.
Mm-hmm.
It's sort of
Vampyr.
I mean, they don't say it out loud in the movie, but I always like in vampire movies when they like are researching and someone's like, there's some expert, Van Helsing or whoever, and it's like, yes, the Vampyr, and they always have to really chew on the word and make it sound old and European. Love that. Love to see it.
You got anything else on this movie, Glenn?
I don't think so. I think we covered the main bits that I wanted to talk about. It's like this movie's a cool example of like Euro avant-garde, like experimental movies, and also like a cool comparison to like the Universal monster movies that are coming out around the same time.
Yeah. This is Criterion Core European art, Universal horror.
Right. Yeah.